everybody, this is Heather here at Tactical Response. So yesterday I was out at the range and something that I found that I thought was kind of cool that I could share with you guys was some turkey tail mushroom. So I honestly feel like it's really important to know how to forage, especially if you're somebody that thinks that you need to prepare for like disaster situations or you're into like survivalist stuff, because like it's great to grow your own food and everything, but I think that it's really awesome that there's all this food that naturally grows where you live that you can go out and find, and a lot of the time they also have medicinal properties, and in a disaster situation there's not going to be a pharmacy that you are going to be able to go to, right? So I think that finding, food and different plants in the wild for medicinal purposes is also really important. So now let's take a look at the turkey tail that I found. So we're going to look at how I was able to identify that this was turkey tail. So I took this home. I was pretty sure that's what it was, but I am pretty new to foraging still, and so I wanted to make sure that that's what this was. So the first thing that I did was I turned it over and I looked at the backside here. Turkey tail is a polypore mushroom, which means that it's going to have pores on the backside. As you can see, this has a lot of pores. The next thing was the size of the pores. Were they large or were they small? With the turkey tail, about the size of the ballpoint pen, I can compare it to the size of the pores. 2 to 3 of these little bitty pores would fit and about the size of the tip of a ballpoint pen, and that does do that. So the next thing I looked at was the texture. It has a velvety-like texture, and if I shine it into the light, it almost has like a sheen to it, so it's kind of fuzzy like velvet. Also, they grow kind of like stacked on top of each other, which was another good indicator. You can see how these like circle and are stacked on top of each other. Also, the color, it has like these clear, different colors in like the rings. And with turkey tail, they're either going to be like white, gray, brown, and reddish brown. And they have that. And then the last thing was this right here was actually dead and really dried. It was frozen, right? And so whenever it's frozen or dried, or not frozen, but whenever it's dried, it's still going to be very thin and kind of flexible. And you can see like I can bend that. And so even when it's dried, it's flexible, and turkey tail is also very, very thin. So I compared this to some of the lookalikes and their identifications. Didn't check out with those fully. It did with the turkey tail. So now that we have identified that this is turkey tail, like why would you want to know what turkey tail looks like? Because turkey tail actually wouldn't be something that you'd consider an edible that you'd want to eat like in your meals and stuff. The texture is just not that great. It's really rubbery. It's also really thin. What most people use turkey tail for would be the medicinal benefits that you would get. What's great about turkey tail is it's found all over in like North America, Asia, and Europe. And it is one of like the most common growing mushrooms on those continents. So they're plenty, like you can easily find them. They're very plentiful. But they're also really expensive to buy online because a lot of people are just kind of nervous about going out and identifying their own mushrooms because people are like, oh, so many mushrooms are poisonous. Like I'm scared to do that. But we actually, we don't have, that many. But I digress. With this one, the medicinal benefits that you would get out of it, it helps with your immune system, right? So if you have, it can help prevent, cold and flus. If you get a cold or a flu, it's great. It's actually been shown to help treat canine cancer. So therefore, it wouldn't be a far stretch to think that it could possibly help with cancer in humans. They've done studies on it. They look promising, but it's not a scientific proven thing yet. But people with immunosuppressed disease, or you're taking medication that suppresses your immune system, this wouldn't be a bad thing to do during cold and flu season. Adding this, with maybe your other vitamins and stuff wouldn't be a terrible idea. And maybe you're like, well, Heather, you just said, it's not considered necessarily edible. I don't want to eat it. Well, what you do with it is you can dehydrate it. You put it in a tea and you can drink it. Or you can make a tincture, and then you can just take the tincture. And with tinctures, basically you're going to dehydrate the mushroom and you're going to put it in a jar. You can either use alcohol, or some people would be like recovering alcoholics, or they just don't want to have the alcohol in there. That's totally fine. You can also use apple cider vinegar, and that would be your substitute for alcohol if you can't have alcohol. But yeah, so I just think that foraging is a really important skill to have. I thought that I would share this cool find with you guys. I'm new to it, and so as I get better, maybe I can find something that's a little bit harder to find, a little harder to identify, and I can share it with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed watching.